Hey Nathan, Coach Brandon here, and today we'll go ahead and go over a few of the videos and discuss a few concepts that you asked over email. So first and foremost, when it comes to the intensity call or the INT column, that just means intensity. So some coaches use that column for RPE, some people use it for RAR, some individuals use it for percentage-based work. I use it for a little bit of both, depending upon the client and their needs. Right now, we are using it for reps and reserve. So that's just the intensity column. Could be a number of different things, but you're on reps and reserve right now. So if it says 3 to 5 in the intensity column, that means 3 to 5 reps in reserve. I feel like you had a second question. Space on. If we go back here. Coaching date stuff. So the process, you're going to hop on your athlete dashboard on kabukistrength.com, and you're going to send in check-ins through that. When you hop on your dashboard, it'll say, how fatigued are you, 1 through 10, how hard last week was, a series of different questions. It'll have an area where you can specifically put your videos and your training log, and that's all you have to do. Really, really cakey. Makes check-ins a little easier for you and a little easier for me as well. If it doesn't work for any reason, sometimes dashboards have a little bit of issues, especially in the beginning. Just go ahead and email it to me and try to send me as much information as possible on how the previous week went. Looking at the videos that you sent over, though, so for starters, actually, before we even get into this, we have to understand that there's a very important concept when it comes to deadlifting, whether it's conventional or sumo. We are trying to take as much slack out of the bar as possible and to pull as much tension out as we can. Now, an important piece of this is that you will not do so if we just squat into it. A lot of individuals see that you have to do this motion to build tension, and then they just go through the motion. But at the same time, the motion has to be a lot of work. The hardest part of a deadlift should be the tension building portion. The harder you work to build tension, the easier the rep is going to be. This is the golden rule of deadlifting and taking slack out. It also help the top end and help have the proper mechanics and a series of other things. It's unbelievable how many issues in a deadlift can be fixed just by getting better at tension building. And right now, the biggest issue that I see is that we could get better at building tension, and problems are showing up at the top of the deadlift because of the tension building portion. Right now, we're locking out with a soft lockout, with soft knees, not quite locked out and not quite as upright as possible. And this will be fixed by working for every single inch as you build tension. And the biggest key component actually is going to be pressing those feet through the ground. The proper cadence that I want you to go ahead and try is first hinging down to the bar. Hinge down the bar very carefully, pushing your hips back as far as possible as you do so. Once you're low enough to grab the bar, grab the bar. We're going to go ahead and breathe and brace first. Second, we're going to pull the barbell and engage our lats to press our scapula. Third, we are going to press our feet into the floor. Now, an important component of that is that if you were not grabbing the barbell, you would shoot up. It would be like a jump. But at the same time, you're just pressing your feet into the floor real hard. So it takes that bar from here to here. Now, that's not tension building, though. That's the very important piece of it. So as you're continuing to press your feet into the floor, we're going to slowly pull our hips in closer to the bar, chest up. It's this motion here. And as you do so, that is the motion while pressing your feet into the floor. That's the motion that creates that bar bend, that tension on the bar, pulls the slack out. And then once the bar has a maximal amount of tension pulled out of it while your hips are still staying high, once your feet's pressing the floor, then we come up. But keep in mind, more than anything, you already have a pretty decent motion. The biggest thing I think you're missing right now is feet pressing into the floor and working for every inch, really working hard to build tension. But once you do so, the top end is going to be so much easier. It'll have faster velocity on the floor, and it'll be a much more proficient deadlift. Looking at what I'm actually referring to here, if we look at your motion to start, like I said, it should be a lot of work to build tension, but we'll see here that he's kind of squat into it a little bit. And then once we come to the top, if I pause there, knees are not locked out, kind of soft knees, a little unhinged at the hip. This is just called a classic soft lockout. So again, the only way to fix this is to just get better at the setup. And it's going to be, I'll send you some good content on the conventional deadlift setup that'll help a lot. But the biggest key components, like I said, is pressing your feet in the floor, working for every single inch, and just trying to take as much slack out as possible. But yeah, so that's going to be the fix for that one. Now for sumo, it is the exact same thing. The biggest difference between taking the slack out and building tension in the conventional versus sumo, sumo, you're going to have a much greater range of motion to do so. In sumo deadlift, there's a huge range of motion to build tension in, and a good reference for this is that you have a much shorter in conventional, and for conventional, you got to work for every centimeter, and for sumo, you got to work for every inch. You just got a lot of greater range of motion to build tension in. Now, right now, you'll notice in your sumo deadlift video that you just kind of squatted down to where your hips want to be, where you want to lift from, and then you just went up. But instead, we have to keep our hips very high, carefully hinge, have them very high at the start, breathe, brace, pull the barbell in, similar cadence. But the one thing we're going to add to it is knees to plates. Your knees need to go to plates as you bring your hips in as close as possible to an extent. Bring your chest up, bar bends, then we come up. Again, I'll send you a good video that'll kind of demonstrate all this stuff. I'm not probably doing a great job explaining it. It's hard to do so without actually seeing the movement. But the biggest thing with the sumo is just going to be getting better at building tension. And though tension building is a little different between sumo and conventional, the philosophies are the same and the motion's eerily the same as well. There's just a few additional components and a greater range of motion to do so in the sumo. But yeah, looking at the video here, your sumo looks like it has greater mechanics at the top, less of a soft knee lockout, and a little more upright at the top here. Pattern is solid. It just has to do with the building tension a little bit better. I would also add that your feet right now are fairly straightforward, and we want to avoid that. Having your feet fairly straightforward in sumo deadlift limits how close your hips can get to the bar. So if your feet are fairly straightforward, now all of a sudden your hips have to be an additional 6 inches away from the load, which is a less advantageous position. So what I want you to do is, on top of working on tension building and looking at the video I'm about to send you and studying it, I want you to take your feet, your toe position, your toe angle, go from here to here, 45-degree angle. That is going to help so much. It's going to help to use the correct musculature. It's going to help to add load on the bar and put yourself in a far more advantageous position. There's only 2 videos you sent, so I think that's just about it. I hope I answered your questions with the dashboard and training log stuff. Let me know if you have any questions on the cues I gave. I will send you over those videos, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions on those.